Welcome to the Astro Psyche. In this episode, we'll explore the Tarot as a spiritual practice. And I'm excited to share this topic with you. I will be co teaching a course on the Tarot as a spiritual practice, and very excited to share all of the things with you around this topic. I know some of you are already registered, and I'm so excited to see you there. We'll be starting next week, actually, as of recording this on February 22nd. And this course is so special because it blends in both how to read the tarot psychologically, spiritually, from a depth psychological perspective, and then how to not only weave that into a spiritual practice, but also to create the foundation and structure for a spiritual practice that is unique to you, that works for you. And our intention for this course is to empower you to connect with both the tarot and your own spiritual practices in a way that feels safe, authentic, and organic. And yeah, just really excited to share this special um, topic with you. And I am co teaching this course with my partner, Kenneth Miller, who is here with me today for this episode.
Hello, happy to be here.
Oh, so happy to have you here. So, Kenneth, I thought we would chat a bit,
Yes.
chat about some of our experiences and some thoughts that we want to share with folks.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm curious, what does the term tarot as a spiritual practice even mean?
I was wondering that myself. There are so many. Really, any practice can be a spiritual practice, right? The old saying, practice Zen, chop, what is it? Chop wood, carry wood, practice Zen. Whatever that saying is, anything can be a spiritual practice. But the tarot is nice because it allows us to kind of speak with ourselves at a deeper level. It allows us to, have a way to go within. And tarot has been used for meditative purposes, for a long time, at least a couple hundred years. Maybe get into that later. So to me, tarot is a spiritual practice. It's you like tarot and you want to have a spiritual practice. And, this is a way to combine both of those things in a way that allows you to know yourself more, learn more about you and the environment, how you interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
Some teachers say, if you're familiar with the tarot, there's basically two parts to it. There's the major arcana or the trump cards, which are typically in modern decks, it's like 0 to 21 with pictures of different things. The 0 is Fool, and the last card is the World. And then you have the pips or the minor arcana that we kind of recognize as playing cards, four suits and whatnot. And some people say that the trump cards, the major arcana cards, it is the fool's journey from. It is a spiritual journey that the fool takes from the beginning to end. Um, I'm actually not real big on that idea per se, but it just prior to recording this, I did shuffle the major arcana in a deck I have in my hands right now because I was interested to see where the fool would take me in the deck. And I laid out, I then looked to see where the fool was, and I pulled the fool out with the cards on either side. To the left of the fool was the world, and to the right of the fool is the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the tarot's answer, or at least through me, is the sun can represent that most spiritual part of ourselves, that which is transcendent and whatnot. And then the world is the world we're in. So hopefully through tarot, we learn how to manifest in the world that most essential nature that we are.
That's beautiful. I love that those were the cards that you pulled just now. And so, uh, if I'm hearing you right, what you did was you were shuffling the major arcana cards, the 22 cards, and wherever the Fool was in a random order, you pulled the Fool and then the card that was on either side of the Fool.
Correct.
And that is the Fool's journey in answer to this question: what is Tarot's spiritual practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And yeah, I think this is something that I've been thinking about when we've been preparing for the course, is that spiritual practice gets to be for the real world needs that we have, that it's not just spiritual. It's like we need help with living, with life, with money and health and housing and coping with the world, etc. That's also spiritual as well.
I'm not the first one to say that, living in a cave and meditating, that's easy if someone's bringing you food. But your interactions with other people, you come up against daily frustrations. How do you manage that? How do you navigate that? And that's where I think having a spiritual practice that's grounded in the world that's how you tell you're making progress, because you're able to navigate it easier.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something that you said earlier where, gosh, I can't recall exactly how you were describing this, but it strikes me that tarot can be an introspective practice.
Yes.
It helps you to connect with yourself in the moment. And I think it's such a great accompaniment to something like astrology, because astrology is so archetypal. It is so multivalent, to use that word. Tarot is more immediate. It's like in the moment, I want clarification, I want answers. And then we also have, I don't know about you, but I sometimes have a very visceral response to a card or a reading when I pull it. It moves something inside of us, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, yeah, it pairs very well with spiritual practice, which is self-reflective, and also, well, actually, I want to ask you, how would you even define spiritual practice? What does that mean for you?
I knew this question was coming.
Uh-huh.
And it's hard to prepare. I mean, I didn't want to give a canned answer, but I think spiritual practice hopefully is a practice, like a disciplined practice, where you are expanding your self understanding and your understanding of your place in the world. And, again, trying to be the most authentic self that you can be, and just be a better, person. And if there is such a thing as reincarnation, prep yourself for the next go around, where maybe you'll make less mistakes. But I think it's, well, traditionally, it's enlightenment. It's getting, or in Buddhism, it's getting free from the wheel. Eliminating all suffering. That's the goal of spiritual practice. I think that speaks to me as well. I look around the world. There's a lot of suffering. Yeah, it would be nice to decrease that,
Mm-hmm.
help people to decrease that. So I don't know if I answered your question,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, I think you are, and yeah, I love I love defining words. Like,
Mm.
what does I love looking up the etymology of
Mm-hmm.
a word,
Yeah.
like what does this actually mean? And then I love like what does that actually mean to me? I find it that in itself, actually, honestly, I think can be a component of spiritual practice. And I think, yeah, so I like what you're saying here because it's sort of like what is a spiritual practice depends a bit on your metaphysics,
Yeah.
on your belief system,
Yep.
and also it sounds like the way that you and I understand it is that it is inherently introspective in nature. It has you connecting more deeply with yourself for authenticity, regulation, and to hopefully be a better human. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what I like about that is very broad, and that could be just about anything. Um, it
True.
doesn't have to look any particular kind of way.
Right.
And so I think that to me feels very freeing. And also, I remember feeling, especially when I was just exploring this in my own practice, like, what do I even do? I think it can be overwhelming to try to find a way forward.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we certainly live, there's a cornucopia of options to the modern Westerner
Mm-hmm.
in terms of potential practices. But obviously, the people that sign up for this course have an interest in tarot and have an interest in spiritual development, however they're defining it. And
Mm-hmm.
we are going to try to meet those needs.
Yes. So I'm curious if you want to share how you got into the tarot.
I actually got into the tarot as a spiritual aid at a
Mm-hmm.
young age. I was interested in what we might call metaphysical topics at a young age. And there used to be a magazine called Fate Magazine that had articles of the supernatural, UFOs, weird stuff. But it had tons of ads in it. I loved the ads. And in this magazine, a lot of occult societies would advertise asking for membership, asking for you to join. And that's how I learned about an organization called BOTA out of LA. They're still around, but their practice is that or one of the early practices is that you color in your own tarot cards. That is to say, you color it like a coloring book, not that you're free drawing it. But they have this whole system of meditating on the cards. So there I am, 16 years old, doing the best I can. Actually, I failed with watercolors, so I ended up using colored pencils. But I, teaching you to meditate, to, um, you know, access certain parts of yourself that aren't readily accessible. And that was kind of my introduction to it. It was like first that, and then came, oh, you can do like use these oracular and ask mundane questions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had, fast forward to now, I have a small collection of tarot decks and of all different styles and whatnot. And you know, what impact that had on me over the course of my life, I don't know, because I took to it at such a young age, and I can't compare it to a version of me that didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I think meditating on those cards, you know, helped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How many tarot decks do you have now, you think?
Let's say, I mean, I'm not, there are people that have, tons and tons of decks, but I do think I have like 40 some odd decks when I last counted.
So, I wanted, yeah, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, I know. So I think that's really cool and endearing, and I think it just speaks to how how cool tarot is, that there's so many different decks and they all have their own like personality and flavor, and
Yeah.
it's fun to, for me at least, it's fun to collect different decks. Okay, so yeah, so you got into the tarot early on, and particularly with
As a meditative
mhm,
tool, yeah.
mhm, okay. And I'm curious, how has tarot like changed for you over time as far as how you interact with it and how you feel about it?
Over time, well, I think at the beginning I was, especially when it came to like doing tarot readings for people, like, many people when they start out, very nervous. Am I going to remember the meaning? Is it going to
Mm-hmm.
make sense? Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I remember in college doing a tarot reading for a friend of mine, and I just started crying
Oh.
because I was tapping into her pain, which she wasn't presenting at the table, but
Mm-hmm.
through the doing the reading, it turned out, yeah, this was a real painful subject.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think now, and what I hope we will teach is that this sort of awareness that I am the oracle, that the person wielding the cards is the oracle, and I just kind of relax into that role and let the information come. So
Mm-hmm.
at this point, um, I'm not like uptight with the tarot anymore like I used to be. I think meditatively, I'm not so much staring at the cards anymore. It's more like inner dialogue and working things out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously a lifelong love
Mm-hmm.
that has stayed with me, and we're going to try to communicate some of that love through the course.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
What about you? How did you get into the tarot?
Let's see. I I first discovered the tarot when I was having a lot of tumultuous crisis in my life.
Mm.
I was going through a lot of change, and a dear friend of mine was learning the tarot, and so of course I was like, let's do readings to figure out my life,
Yeah.
what's going on, why is this happening, um, and uh, yeah, I was going through a career change, relationship was ending, and I kind of felt like the sky was falling in many ways. And it was such a it was a time where I was introduced to a lot of different things. So that's when I first got into astrology. I first started meditating. Um, I got I got a psychic reading from this woman, from Carrie, who um, ended up becoming a mentor and a friend, and just like exposed me to so many other spiritual things. And yeah, I think so. Initially, I was using tarot to like figure out what the heck is going on,
Yeah.
and to I think what it did for me is it provided comfort, validation, and also a little bit of anxiety, I think, because I was using it in a bit of an anxious way, which I think is, not uncommon with tarot or astrology. Um, but there was something about it that I just really liked, that you can just ask anything at any time, and then there's something that's going to show up for you. And I was really impacted by how I would draw the same card multiple times over time, and I would get even like repeating patterns of cards together, and I had just not experienced anything like that before. In my life up to that point, I had had maybe a couple of experiences of synchronicity. Um, and this just, I think it like created a place for synchronicity to exist in my life in a more, in a way where I was more aware of it. And there was something about that that just felt like it changed the way that I looked at the world.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think I used the tarot um, over time really for a sense of comfort
Mm-hmm.
and introspection. And I think using it over and over again, I started to gain a sense of confidence in the cards and what they meant, and not just what they meant like objectively, but what they meant for me. Like,
Right.
oh, I remember, pulling this card either for myself or for someone else, and this
Yeah.
is what was happening, and
Yeah.
like kind of
Yeah.
getting this internalized experience of the cards. And I, yeah, I still feel they just really, they can just speak to what's happening so, um, in almost a laser like way sometimes.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who wants to learn how to read the tarot?
Hmm, that's a great question. Well, okay. I have several things that come up for me there. I find it's not uncommon at the beginning to want to like do it right, like to know all of the meanings, to buy the right deck, to
Yeah.
like not fuck it up. And my advice first and foremost is there is no fucking it up. You already have everything that you need to be able to read the cards. And yes, I think that the meanings and the system and the structure is important. And I like that. And I think that helps us. And also, um, the way that I learned, the way that resonates with me is that at the end of the day, the tarot is a projection of our psyche, and that at the end of the day, tarot is an omen, it's a divination, and we don't need to know the system in order to have something come up for us. And I think that's so important because um, we already have so many places in our life where there's anxiety and fear and like pressure to like do the right thing. We don't need to bring that into our tarot practice.
Right.
Um, and yeah.
I think not stressing about the deck is important.
Mm-hmm.
First deck,
Mm-hmm.
and then not panicking when you realize the deck you liked, the minor arcana is just pictures of coins, wands.
Mm.
The basically two. We can separate tarot into two broad categories. One where every card has a picture and is telling some kind of story, and then the more classical decks where the five of coins or pentacles just shows five coins. Seven of wands just shows seven of wands, and we'll be covering, how do you make sense of that in our
Mm-hmm.
class.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and also, you know, as I have demonstrated, and many tarot enthusiasts have demonstrated, you don't just need one deck. I do tend to kind of zero in on, one that I like to do readings on, maybe one that I like to do my own self work with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's just, I don't think I agree with you. There is no one quote unquote right deck for our purposes at any rate. It's just finding one that you like. Because
Mm-hmm.
even though at the beginning earlier I said you are the oracle, um, we're also going to teach in class that the cards kind of have a life of their own. So, and
Yes.
that you want to have kind of a relationship with them, and you do, it will sound like it's contradictory, but it is sort of, yes, you are the oracle, and the cards have a kind of life of their own as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes, and uh, the psychotherapist James Hillman, when he was talking about the way that psyche works, he was really big on psyche being a sensory aesthetic experience. That it's like sights, tastes, sounds, that there is this aesthetic to psyche and to the unconscious. And that is imagery and how the deck just feels to us in a
yeah,
sensory kind of way. And
yeah,
so um, when we have a deck that just it clicks, the visually, emotionally, energetically, it just feels good. It allows that the ability to read and communicate with the deck and through the deck. I also want to say too, you don't have to like
I don't.
you anyone. Um, the first deck or any deck doesn't have to be gifted to you.
Oh yeah.
So you can buy your own deck.
Yeah, I don't know where that started from. Probably some metaphysical merchant around Christmas time. Yeah, no. Yeah, I agree.
So that irks. I don't know. Yeah, it's. I feel very irked by that phenomena because
Seize your destiny. Choose
yes,
your own day.
yes, yeah, you don't have to wait for some like I think seize your destiny that you're allowed to be like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
like this.
yeah,
I let's do it,
yeah,
and that you can begin. Again, I think there can be a lot of barriers um, to engaging in tarot or spirituality, and the more that we can just like release the um, unnecessary barriers and expectations.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So I'm curious,
Yes.
as far as spiritual practice,
Yeah.
what do you think for someone that is either just beginning, is curious about developing their own spiritual practice, or maybe they've been doing it for a while and they want to move further into it? What do you think are some important things for people to keep in mind?
Well, I think the most important thing is perseverance,
Mm, interesting.
consistency, and yeah, perseverance.
What makes you
um,
say that?
Well, because it's very easy to be like, okay, I am gonna start my mantra practice this morning, and then 3 mornings later you oversleep and you're like, and then 2 weeks later you're like, oh, should I start again? Maybe I should pick a different mantra. Obviously, that one I stopped doing after 3 days. Maybe that's a sign.
Mm,
Anyway, like anything, exercise, good diet, anything in life, consistency helps. So I think
mm,
having a disciplined practice, which going back to the beginning,
mm,
my fool here between the sun and the world, um, the sun, astrologically, the sun card is associated with the sun,
mm-hmm.
according to one model, which we're going to teach. And the world is associated with Saturn, which is the planet of discipline.
Ah,
So I mean, I didn't think of it till just now, but it is this sort of, yeah, discipline produces results.
Yeah.
So I have found that even the smallest amount of discipline produces results. So if you can only, if your practice, you can only dedicate 3 minutes a day, being consistent in the 3 minutes a day is better than doing like, 1 hour a month,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really like what you're saying here, and it brings me back into how we are intentionally doing this course when there is Saturn conjunct Neptune in the sky,
Yeah.
and this topic, tarot, spiritual practice, is so Saturn Neptune. There is the real world rigor and the devotionalness and the like showing up over time
Yeah.
consistently, but then yeah, the spiritual nature of it. And so okay, I'm curious.
Yeah.
So for the folks that are like let's say you do oversleep and you're like not consistent,
Yeah.
and then what do you do?
Right. No. You work on that,
Mm-hmm.
or you create a discipline that you can maintain.
Yes. Yeah.
So, for
Yeah. Totally.
example, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, but one way I have done this is I tell myself the sun will not rise on a new day before I have done X practice. And sometimes that means I'm getting up at 5 a.m. because I didn't have time to do it the day before, and I got to get it in before the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So, knowing your limits and then just figuring out a discipline within that.
Mm.
Um, and then let's say you just completely blow it. Something terrible happens, death in the family, your routine's completely uprooted. Yeah, you're obviously that's not going to ruin your spiritual growth. But in terms of normal day to day life, I think that having a regular routine, and then there was a time in my life where I was doing a really elaborate puja, basically a full little ceremony in the morning, and but there were days when I didn't have time to do the full version. So I had like the full version, the medium version, and the absolute bare minimum version.
Mm.
And my agreement to myself was, again, the sun would not rise if I haven't done that, once.
Mm-hmm.
So that would, now that people are going to be different. That's just me. I'm not advocating that for everyone. Um, but I think what I'm saying is what, pretty much everyone in the spiritual community would say, that, yeah, doing it regularly is good.
So I also think
Yeah.
it has a lot to do with one's Saturn, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I have a very different temperament than you do when it comes to these things. And um, a part of my practice has been being very compassionate with myself
Yeah.
when I can't do the full
Yeah.
thing that I like to do every single day. And yeah, I've gone through periods of intense burnout where I don't have the capacity to do very much. And so my spiritual practice gets very minimal
Mm-hmm.
and simple and um, and like so I think a part of the consistency in a Saturnian way is, yes, being consistent and having a regular practice, whatever that is, daily, weekly, etc. And also like knowing your, what you said, knowing your limits and
Yeah.
knowing what is sustainable for you to be consistent with. And that's going to change over time.
And tell me if you agree with this. I think when you have a regular practice, then on those occasions where it has to be super minimal, you get more out of that because you
Yes.
built this up, you
Yes.
built it up, as it
Mm-hmm.
were.
Yeah, you have a deeper reservoir.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Deeper reservoir.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I think another thing that I think is important is that, yeah, it gets to be totally unique. It gets to change over time. There's no one right way. It's like, yeah, is it, what did you say at the beginning? Is it helping you? Is it supportive? Is it making you a better human?
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
Wow, I'm gonna take this class.
So, I'm curious,
Hmm.
what are, going back to tarot, what are some common misconceptions about the tarot that you've encountered?
Well, I am a historian. As you know, my
Yes.
master's degree is in history of science with regards to astrology. But when you get into the history of tarot, there is a lot of mythology mixed in. Um, so, in my opinion, some of the misconceptions have to do with just the origins of tarot.
Mm,
I've come across all kinds of things from a rabbi saying the ancient Hebrews invented tarot to the ancient Egyptians invented it. There's a lot of historical,
mm,
and it can still be a good, useful tool and not have these kind of exotic origins. What I was taught, the first thing I was taught as a teenager was that a bunch of adepts met in Fez. This is the what I remember from the BOTA teachings, that a bunch of adepts, spiritual adepts, met in Fez, Morocco, and they knew that dark times were coming, and that learning was in the West at least was going to be a difficult road. So they wanted to capture the timeless wisdom in a visual way, and
mm,
so they designed the tarot cards.
mm,
Now, I don't actually literally believe that story now, but it was a cool thing to believe when I was a teenager, and it helped motivate me
mm,
to use the cards. I think what happened was the tarot cards became spiritual as people began using them. And so we can attribute astrological significations to the cards. We can attribute all kinds of stuff, like we'll go over in the
mm,
course, to the cards. And they, yes, there's 22 major arcana. Yes, there happen to be 22 Hebrew letters. You can create a
mm,
correspondence there. So it's a ripe area for correspondences. And the fact that there are four suits, there were traditionally four elements, la la la.
mm-hmm. So the misconception is that there's a lot of mythology about tarot being much more ancient
Yeah,
than we actually understand it to
yeah,
be historically.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to turn this into a history lecture. But I also think common misconception is that there is one right interpretation, or I need to learn what the one thing
Mm,
this card means. That I think can also hold people back.
mm,
Um, a lot of times there'll just be some little feature on the card that draws your attention that's relevant to that particular reading. Um,
mm.
yeah, there's probably a whole bunch of misconceptions. I don't really hang out on the tarot subreddit, so I don't know what people are saying these days. But um, yeah,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I don't quite know if this is a misconception, but this is something that I've noticed is that there is this internalized pressure to know the meaning of the card
mm-hmm.
and to know it immediately when you pull it, and that if you don't know it, you need to look it up. And like there's kind of this, like, yeah, this gosh, this is maybe a bit of an extreme way to describe it, but this is just what's coming in for me. There's almost like an pressurized anxiety to know the interpretation as quickly as possible. And I say this being one of those people also had that experience. And so, what I'm always trying to do in my own self and when I'm teaching tarot, or even astrology for that matter, is like, okay, let's slow down. What's happening? What do you see here? And so, yeah, that's not quite a misconception, but I think there's maybe like a tendency to kind of like need to know. And I think a part of it's ironic, the knowing often comes when we sit back and say, like, I don't know, but I'm really curious what this is about.
One teacher that influenced me, to your point, was like, don't latch on to that initial meaning.
Mm.
I mean, like you've got a spread of cards before you, and you turn the first card over, and you're like, oh, and maybe you can look it up in a book to see what it means.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next card might influence. It may be that as you turn the cards over, you got to revisit your
Mm-hmm.
original understanding because in the context of all the cards, it needs a little finessing. And so I think just being relaxed and
Yeah.
open to, I mean, imagine you're looking at a picture, or a photograph, and you're exposed to just different parts. Ooh. One by one.
Yeah.
You may draw some conclusions that once you see the whole photograph, you're like, oh, I know what this is saying now, and it's just, and then, the more experience you have, the better you become at pulling all those things together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and side note, when let's say you pull 3 cards, okay, you deal them out so that they're face down initially.
I right? Do, yeah.
Yeah, and then one at a time you turn over each
yes, one. That's because I like delayed gratification and anticipation. Yeah, you don't have to do it that way, but yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, I just I flip them all over at the same time because I want to know. So yeah, well, different ways. I do like looking at each piece and then sitting back, and yeah, it's interesting. So, I'm curious, what are some of the things that you're most excited to explore in our course together?
I think just deepening, people obviously like or think they like the tarot deck or the tarot cards. And so just deepening that relationship between the cards and you, and as a vehicle. I mean, really, one could say that the tarot is the language that allows you to communicate with the invisible or the unconscious or spirit. I mean, whatever you want to, however you want to conceptualize it, and just helping people understand that language, so that they can forge that deeper connection. Because a lot of times, at least in terms of self spiritual work, as you're dealing with the cards, they may be trying to tell you something that you don't know about yourself.
Yes.
And so it's like, and maybe it's even something that you don't want to know, or have a hard time seeing. Now, hopefully, because of the spiritualness of the practice, you're not getting a message you can't handle. But I'm losing the thread of your question. But basically, what I'm hoping is that this tool that allows us to communicate with what I'll just call invisible with a capital I, that we gain a greater facility in the use of that language.
Yeah, just to pick up where I maybe think you were going, or where my mind was going, is that you and I have talked about this, how sometimes the cards are telling you something that you don't even know to ask about.
Right.
And it is my wish that incorporating that Saturnian structure,
Mm-hmm.
containment of a spiritual practice of tarot being contained in that place, and then again having something that we can return to over and over again, that there is this capacity to be able to perceive more.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get into uh, in the course, we're going to be talking about like intuition and the clairs, and I think that's also a part of it too. And so, yeah, that is a part of the deepening, is expanding your capacity to perceive.
And the importance of keeping a tarot journal
Yes, yes,
so you can go back,
yes, yes.
like a dream journal.
Hmm. Yeah, I am really excited to share some ideas that, well, how do I want to say this? I'm excited to share a course that I wish that I had at the beginning.
Yes, that has been one of the guiding principles as I've contributed to my section. Is, what would I have wanted at the beginning,
Yeah, yeah.
and what would have helped me. So
And
if you feel the listener at home, if you feel any kind of rapport towards Shawna or myself, then hopefully this course will be helpful for you.
mhm. Yeah, and I so it's a bit paradoxical because when I teach or lead groups, I also learn a lot myself, just through the experiential process of it, of sharing the material. And so um, I'm really excited about that. I love how um, folks can ask questions that brings up something for me that I may not have even thought to talk
Right.
about.
Yeah,
I really love that process. It feels quite magical to me.
it is.
And so, yeah, I'm very excited about that
Good.
and excited to teach with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The first time co-teaching something.
Yeah, yeah.
So we get to watch it all. You listeners would have seen it for the course.
um, so yeah, I did want to maybe touch on some frequently asked questions
Please
that
do.
we've gotten. Yeah, so the biggest question that I've gotten from many people in general, not just leading up to this course, but in general, is
Yeah.
what tarot deck do you recommend?
Yeah, I don't. There, I don't. I mean, I have my favorites, but I think you find something that you like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people like to start with the Rider Waite or a deck influenced by the Rider Waite because every card has a picture on it, and those pictures tell stories, and that can be less intimidating. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said at the beginning of the thing. Um, I There's some continental European modern decks that I like that just have tons of symbols in them. And then for this podcast, I pulled out a kind of classic Italian tarot deck from a few hundred years ago that just has the simplest of pictures on it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really just finding something that speaks to you. And if nothing speaks to you, but you're just desperate to get a deck, then that's fine. They're not that expensive. Many of the decks are not
Uh-huh.
that expensive. And then just get something. And if this turns out to be something that you like, you'll guide yourself to a better second deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I I think the most important thing is that you like the deck,
Yeah.
that you like the imagery, the colors, the symbols, that it just you
Yeah,
just
just
like
know
it.
something.
Yes.
It is important that you get a tarot deck and not an oracle deck or a Lenormand deck or any of the zillions of other kinds of decks out there. You want like a 78 card tarot deck, which is almost all tarot decks. Um, yeah.
So yeah, um, the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck is that the tarot follows this specific structure
Yes.
where there are major arcana, minor arcana,
Yep.
there's the suits.
Yep.
And an oracle deck is essentially anything that doesn't follow that system. There's a lot of oracle decks that are very similar,
Yep.
that have a very similar structure, but maybe they have a different number of cards, they don't have suits, or they don't have, maybe they have like more suits or less suits,
Yeah.
etc. um, I think you can actually totally have like use this course for the like with an oracle deck. um, and also we're really honing in on tarot in particular. So yeah, I would recommend getting a tarot deck. And there are so many. And
Yeah.
um, I also like a deck uh, with a lot of imagery to it, like a lot of detail that you can pick up on. But again,
I think that's, yeah, for a beginner, that might be easier.
yeah, it
Yeah.
gives you more. It gives your psyche more to grab into.
Yes.
And also, it's kind of a personal aesthetic preference
Yeah.
too. Some people just really like a very simple deck, or maybe there's a deck where you really like the imagery and it just happens to be simple.
Yeah.
Um, I do think it's interesting. I haven't thought about this before, but you, Kenneth, are a history buff. You love history, and you tend to be drawn to historical type decks,
Yeah.
or decks that are more, yeah, like the Marseille
Yeah.
classic tarot decks. So yeah, I think it can be an extension of one's psyche and personality in that way. And the other thing that I wanted to say is selecting the deck is a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
So you can create a ritual out of that, even. You can set an intention to find a deck that is the perfect deck for you to connect with yourself or whatever your intention wants to be. And um, I'm also a big fan of going to your physical,
Hmm.
um, local metaphysical shop or bookshop if you happen to have one. There's also a website, I think it's called thriftbooks.com, that has a lot of used and new tarot decks. You just search tarot decks. Yeah.
Ooh, you can buy a used deck and have someone's cooties on it.
I would definitely cleanse it. Um,
We'll teach them how.
yes. Um, yeah, these are more practical questions, but what if you can't attend our live classes for the course? Um, they'll be recorded. So I know some folks are only able to make some of the courses, or some are classes. Yeah, some are unable to attend all, or some, or each class will be recorded.
Yes.
And available that week. And yeah, also, what if you're like a brand new beginner?
That's fine. Beginner's mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll provide you with the resources you need as a
Mm-hmm.
beginner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're seasoned and you've had the tarot for a long time, or you maybe just only used it to ask the most mundane questions, we'll show you how to incorporate into your spiritual practice. Um, the classes themselves will be partly didactic with us talking, and then also workshopy with practicing things. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yeah, so it'll be us sharing, lecturing, and then an experiential component,
yeah,
and lots of space for asking questions. And like, I think you and I both work this way when we teach, is that it's really built for what needs to happen in the moment.
yeah.
And
We aspire
yes, we aspire.
to that.
And also meeting both the brand new beginner, and then also folks that have been doing this for a while and that want to deepen
Yeah.
into their practice as well. Um, so yeah, really all are welcome
Mm-hmm.
here. So, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's
All right.
so
Wow.
nice to chat with you about all these
Thanks for inviting me on the show.
things.
It's been great.
Yeah.
I was worried about where the fool was going to wind up when I did this, when I had the idea to do this, but I'm very pleased with how that turned out.
Yeah, so perfect there between the sun and the world. Mm. Yeah, so we began Tarot as a spiritual practice on February 22nd, and this is a 6 week online course. We meet Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we would absolutely love to have you join us.
Yes.
Yeah, so excited, and it is um, also such a special time to do this. We are in eclipse season. Saturn is conjunct Neptune, and especially Saturn conjunct Neptune is just that transit really was partially the inspiration to share this course. It sort of came about via contemplating that, and Saturn being the material physical realm, what's here, what's tangible, and then Neptune being the spiritual, the unseen, the unconscious. And
breaking down boundaries,
yes,
establishing healthy boundaries.
yes, all of those things. Yeah. So yeah, we would absolutely love to have you join us. You can register for the course on either of our websites. My website is theastropsyche.com.
And I'm celestialintelligencer.com, but if that's too complicated, you can go to kennethdmiller.com.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll have links in the episode here. And yeah, such a pleasure to be with you here today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. And thank you for listening at home.
Take care.